We're all obsessed with the software, right? The models, the code, it's amazing. But what if I told you the real story? The next massive opportunity isn't in the software at all. It's in the physical stuff, the hardware. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden engine that's actually powering this whole revolution.
Okay, so what is this secret component? I bet you're thinking it's the GPUs we hear about all the time, or maybe those huge server racks. Nope, it's actually the unsung hero of the data center. A tiny, tiny piece of hardware that has kind of quietly become one of the most critical parts of the entire AI world.
So the answer lies in this world of advanced optics, with a company called Applied Optoelectronics, or AOI for short. Now, for years, these guys have been like the quiet plumbers of the internet, just building the pipes that move all our data around. But with the AI explosion, bam, they've been yanked from the background right into the spotlight. They're at the absolute center of it all now.
To really get why, you have to understand the physical problem that AI creates. And it's not about the fancy algorithms. No, it's about a simple, raw, and just unprecedented hunger for data. And this crazy appetite for data, well, it's kicked off a total gold rush. Just listen to this. The market for one single component, these high-speed optical transceivers, is on track to hit $55 billion by 2029. I mean, to put that in perspective, that kind of growth makes almost every other tech sector look like it's standing still. Okay, so here's the heart of the physical problem. When you train a big AI model, you're not just crunching numbers, you're moving insane amounts of data. We're talking petabytes, between thousands of chips all at the same time. And the old reliable way, copper cables, they just can't keep up. They hit a wall, the signal gets weak, the speed drops off a cliff. There was really only one way forward. You had to ditch electricity and start using light.
And that right there brings us to AOI's really elegant solution. It's a piece of tech that's probably best described with a simple but super powerful analogy: the glue of the data center.
So what is this glue? It's the optical transceiver. It's this small device, and honestly, it doesn't look like much. But what it does is pretty incredible. It takes the electrical signals coming out of a server, turns them into little pulses of light, and then just zaps them down a fiber optic cable. The result? Communication at just mind-bending speeds. And hey, don't just take my word for it on the glue thing. That analogy comes straight from AOI CFO Stephen Murray. He basically says, look, we make the stuff that holds all these pieces of equipment together. Without that glue, your billion-dollar AI data center, it's just a really expensive room full of high-tech bricks that can't talk to each other.
Right, so this market is getting super competitive, right? So how is a company like AOI planning to win? Well, it turns out they have two secret weapons, two things that give them a really powerful edge. Let's dive into the first one. Secret weapon number one, it all comes down to controlling the absolute heart of every single one of these transceivers, the tiny, powerful laser that actually creates the light. And trust me, this little component is way more important than you might think.
See, here's the deal. These lasers are made from this special stuff called indium phosphide, and they are notoriously difficult to make, especially in huge numbers. It's actually becoming a massive bottleneck for the whole industry. But this is where AOI has a total ace up its sleeve. While pretty much everyone else is out there buying their lasers from other companies, AOI makes their own, in-house. This strategy, it's called vertical integration, and it gives them total control. It's like having a superpower when all of your customers are freaking out about getting a reliable supply.
And this point is so important. When AOI's CFO was asked what the most underappreciated part of their whole story is, he pointed right at this: being able to manufacture your own lasers. That isn't just some minor detail. It's a massive strategic advantage, like a moat around their castle in this new AI arms race.
Okay, so controlling the laser is huge, but it's only half the story. Their second secret weapon is all about how they put the final product together. And it's a strategy they've spent the last 10 years perfecting: automation. And the difference here is just night and day. The old way, the industry standard, is people sitting there assembling these things by hand, mostly in factories in Asia. AOI, they've completely flipped the script with a super automated system. And this is a total game changer for two big reasons. First, robots can ramp up production way faster than you can hire and train people. But second, and this might be even more crucial, it means they can build their factories anywhere, including right here in the US. Now, if you're a giant tech company and you're terrified of supply chains getting messed up by global politics, having a secure, American-made supply, that is worth a fortune. So, you've got these two secret weapons, right? Control the lasers and automate everything. The big question is, how does that translate into actual growth? Well, get ready because the numbers are pretty staggering.
Okay, this chart right here really shows the payoff. Just focus on that top row. That's for the fastest, most powerful optics that the big AI data centers are screaming for. They're planning to go from making 150,000 of these a month to nearly 1,000,000 a month. And they're going to do that in just a year and a half. That's almost a 7-fold increase. That is the kind of insane explosive growth you only ever see when a new tech revolution is happening.
And all that production muscle, it translates directly into cash. The company is on record saying they expect to pull in over $1 billion in revenue just this year. All of it driven by this absolute explosion in demand. But you know how it is in tech, right? It's not enough to just meet today's demand. You've always got to be looking around the corner, getting ready for what's next. And it turns out AOI's secret weapons are positioning them perfectly for the next big leap in how data centers are built.
So this next leap is something called co-packaged optics, or CPO. The best way to think about it is like this. Right now, data has to travel down a slow little electrical side street before it can merge onto the super fast fiber optic highway. What CPO does is it basically gets rid of that side street. It puts the on-ramp to the highway right next to the chip. Now to do this, you need a totally new kind of laser. It's got to be super powerful, but, and this is key, it has to be replaceable. Because you really don't want to have to throw out a $10,000 chip just because one tiny little laser inside it dies.
And here's the crazy part. It turns out AOI already had the perfect laser for this. It was just sitting on the shelf, so to speak. They had actually developed it years ago for something completely different, LiDAR sensors, for self-driving cars. It's just a perfect example of how an invention for one thing can suddenly become the key to the future of something else entirely. So now, that laser they built for cars? It's the foundation of their next-generation product for data centers, and they're already gearing up to make a ton of them.
So, all of this leaves us with one final big question. We spend so much time, right, talking about the companies building the brains of AI, the big GPU makers, the ones creating the language models. But as AI's hunger for data just keeps getting bigger and bigger, you have to wonder, could the companies that control the physical glue holding it all together become just as important, just as powerful? I mean, that's the real billion-dollar question, isn't it?